Hello there, my wonderful friends. Welcome back to Golden Life, your special corner of the internet, dedicated to helping you live your healthiest, happiest, and most vibrant years. Now let me ask you something, and be honest with me now. How many times a week do you reach into that trusty refrigerator of yours, thinking you're doing the absolute best thing for your groceries, keeping them fresh and safe? It's almost second nature, isn't it? That cool hum, the organized shelves, the promise of food preserved. We've been taught for so long that the fridge is our kitchen superhero, battling spoilage and keeping our meals just perfect. But what if I told you that this kitchen companion, this champion of chill, might actually be doing some of your favorite foods a disservice? What if some of those items you diligently tuck away in the cold are not only losing their delicious flavor and wonderful texture, but in some cases might even be better off left out in the warmth of your kitchen counter or pantry? It might sound a little surprising, perhaps even a bit counterintuitive, but trust me on this one. As we navigate these golden years, our bodies become a little more sensitive, and the way we nourish ourselves becomes even more crucial. We want to savor every bite, ensuring we're getting the maximum benefit and enjoyment from our meals. And that's why today we're going to uncover a few kitchen secrets that could make a real difference in your daily life. We're not talking about complicated diets or fancy ingredients. We're talking about something as simple as where you store your food. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever bitten into a tomato that tasted, well, just a little bland and watery after spending a few days in the fridge? Or perhaps you've noticed your beautiful, fragrant garlic cloves sprouting green shoots in the crisper drawer. These aren't just minor inconveniences. They can actually impact the taste, the texture, and even the nutritional value of the foods we rely on. Now, I'm not suggesting we throw out our refrigerators. Far from it. They are essential for keeping many foods safe and delicious. But there are some surprising exceptions, some everyday staples that actually thrive outside the cold embrace of the fridge. And knowing which ones these are can be a game changer, not just for your taste buds, but also for your overall enjoyment of food and potentially even your health. So what are these culinary rebels? These foods that politely decline a stay in the refrigerator? Well, let's start with a fruit that brings sunshine to our tables and a burst of flavor to our meals, the humble tomato. The tomato. Whether you enjoy it sliced in a refreshing salad, simmered in a hearty sauce, or simply savored with a sprinkle of salt, a ripe tomato is a true delight. But here's a little secret. The refrigerator is not its friend. When you put a tomato in the fridge, the cold temperatures actually break down its cell walls. This leads to a mushy texture and, more importantly, a significant loss of that beautiful, vibrant flavor we all love. Those complex compounds that give a tomato its sweetness and its characteristic taste simply fade away in the cold. Think about a perfectly ripe, sun-warmed tomato fresh from the garden. It's juicy, it's fragrant, it bursts with flavor. Now compare that to a tomato that's been sitting in the fridge for a few days. The difference is often night and day. It can become watery, the skin can get a bit wrinkly, and that wonderful aroma is noticeably diminished. So, what's the solution? It's wonderfully simple. Keep your ripe tomatoes at room temperature, preferably out of direct sunlight. A fruit bowl on your kitchen counter is the perfect spot. You'll find they retain their flavor and texture much better this way. Of course, if you have an abundance of ripe tomatoes and you can't eat them all right away, then refrigerating them is better than letting them spoil completely. But try to take them out of the fridge about an hour before you plan to use them to allow them to come back to room temperature and regain some of their lost flavor. You'll taste the difference, I promise. Now, let's move on to another kitchen staple that often finds its way into the refrigerator but really shouldn't: the vibrant and versatile onion. Onions are the unsung heroes of many dishes, providing that essential aromatic base for soups, stews, stir-fries, and countless other recipes. But just like tomatoes, onions are not fans of your refrigerator's cold, humid environment. When onions are refrigerated, the moisture can cause them to become soft and even moldy. Nobody wants a slimy, moldy onion, do they? Furthermore, the cold can actually change their flavor and texture. They can lose their crispness and become a bit mushy. And have you ever noticed that sometimes refrigerated onions can have a stronger, almost unpleasant odor that can permeate other foods in your fridge? That's another reason to keep them out. The best place to store your onions is in a cool, dry, and well-ventilated area. A pantry, or even a mesh bag hanging in a cool, dark corner of your kitchen is ideal. This allows air to circulate around them, preventing moisture buildup and helping them stay firm and flavorful for longer. Now, there's a little caveat here. Once you've cut an onion, it absolutely needs to be refrigerated in an airtight container to prevent odors and spoilage. But whole uncut onions are much happier outside the fridge. So, next time you bring those lovely onions home from the grocery store, find them a nice dry spot in your pantry instead of automatically reaching for the crisper drawer. Your taste buds, and your other fridge contents, will thank you. All right, we've talked about juicy tomatoes and pungent onions. Now let's turn our attention to a root vegetable that's a staple in many of our kitchens and often mistakenly finds its way into the refrigerator: the humble potato. Ah, the potato, so versatile, so comforting, whether it's mashed, baked, fried, or roasted. It's a true workhorse in the kitchen, but storing potatoes in the refrigerator can hurt their texture and even their taste. When potatoes are exposed to cold temperatures, a process occurs where the starch inside them converts into sugar. This might sound appealing, but it actually results in a potato that tastes overly sweet and can also develop a gritty texture after cooking. Imagine biting into your normally fluffy baked potato and finding it strangely sweet and a bit sandy. Not exactly the comforting experience we're looking for, is it? Furthermore, cold temperatures can also increase the amount of acrylamide, a potentially harmful chemical that can form when these potatoes are cooked at high temperatures, such as when frying or baking. So what's the best way to keep your potatoes happy and delicious? Just like onions, they prefer a cool, dark, and well-ventilated place. A pantry, a cupboard away from heat sources, or even a paper bag in a cool corner of your kitchen works perfectly. The key is to keep them away from light and moisture. Avoid storing them in plastic bags, as this can trap moisture and encourage sprouting and spoilage. Now, you might be wondering, what about sweet potatoes? While they are a different type of root vegetable, the same principle applies. They also prefer to be stored in a cool, dry place rather than the refrigerator to maintain their flavor and texture. So there you have it, our first 3 surprising foods that are better off staying out of the refrigerator: the flavor-packed tomato, the aromatic onion, and the versatile potato. Keeping these at the right temperature and in the right environment can make a noticeable difference in your meals. Now don't go anywhere, my friends. We've got more surprising kitchen wisdom coming your way in the next part. We'll be uncovering even more common foods that you might be refrigerating unnecessarily, and more importantly, we'll be sharing exactly what to do with them instead to keep them fresh, flavorful, and at their very best. Stay tuned, and let's continue on this journey to a healthier and more delicious golden life together. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you found those first few tips about tomatoes, onions, and potatoes helpful. It's all about making those small, informed changes that can enhance our daily lives and the enjoyment we get from our food. Now let's continue our journey and uncover a few more surprising items that might be taking up valuable real estate in your refrigerator when they could be thriving elsewhere. Next on our list is a fruit that many of us enjoy for its sweetness and its role in keeping us regular: the delightful banana. The banana, a quick and easy snack, a wonderful addition to smoothies, and a great source of potassium. We often buy a bunch from the store and almost automatically place them on a shelf in the refrigerator, especially once they start to ripen. But here's a little tip. The cold can actually halt the ripening process and even damage the banana. When bananas are exposed to cold temperatures, their skin starts to turn brown or even black. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean the inside is spoiled, and it's still generally safe to eat. However, the texture can become a bit mushy, and the flavor might not be as sweet and vibrant as a banana ripened at room temperature. The best way to handle bananas is to store them at room temperature until they reach the desired level of ripeness. You can keep them in a fruit bowl on your counter. If you want to slow down the ripening process once they're perfectly ripe, you can try separating the bananas from the bunch, as they release ethylene gas, which speeds up ripening. You can also wrap the stems in plastic wrap, which can help to slow down the gas release. Now, what if your bananas become overripe and you can't eat them in time? Don't throw them away. Overripe bananas are perfect for baking delicious banana bread, muffins, or adding to smoothies for extra sweetness and creaminess. You can even peel them, slice them, and freeze them for later use in frozen treats or smoothies. So while the refrigerator isn't the best place for ripening or storing fresh bananas, it certainly doesn't have to be the end of the road for an overripe one. Moving on, let's talk about a staple in many breakfast routines and a wonderful source of energy. Bread. That comforting aroma of freshly baked bread is something truly special. Whether it's a slice of whole wheat toast in the morning or a crusty roll with dinner, bread is a fundamental part of our diets. And where do many of us store it? Often, it's in the refrigerator, thinking we're extending its shelf life, but this might actually be doing more harm than good. The cold environment of the refrigerator can actually cause bread to dry out much faster. It can lose its soft, chewy texture and become stale and hard. While refrigeration might slow down the growth of mold, it does so at the cost of the bread's quality and taste. The best way to store bread is at room temperature, in a cool, dry place such as a bread box or even a paper bag. Make sure it's sealed to prevent it from drying out too quickly. A tightly sealed plastic bag can also work, but it might make the crust lose its crispness. If you're not planning to eat the bread within a few days, freezing it is a much better option than refrigerating it. When properly wrapped, frozen bread can last for several months and can be thawed and reheated to a surprisingly fresh state. So next time you're tempted to put that loaf of bread in the fridge, remember that it will likely become dry and lose its wonderful texture. Find it a cozy spot at room temperature instead, and savor every soft and delicious slice. All right, we've covered bananas and bread. Now let's move on to a flavorful and aromatic ingredient that's essential in so many cuisines around the world: garlic. Garlic, with its pungent aroma and distinctive taste, is a powerhouse of flavor and has numerous health benefits as well. We often buy a whole bulb and might just toss it into the refrigerator, perhaps in the vegetable crisper. However, like onions, whole uncut garlic actually prefers to be stored at room temperature. The cold and humid environment of the refrigerator can encourage garlic cloves to sprout green shoots. While these sprouts aren't harmful to eat, they can have a bitter taste. Additionally, refrigerated garlic can sometimes become rubbery or moldy. The ideal storage for whole garlic bulbs is in a cool, dry, and well-ventilated place similar to onions. A pantry or a mesh bag works well. This allows the garlic to breathe and helps to prevent sprouting and spoilage. Now, what about peeled garlic cloves or chopped garlic? Once garlic has been peeled or cut, it should be stored in an airtight container in the refrigerator and used within a few days. You can also preserve peeled garlic by submerging it in olive oil in the refrigerator, but be sure to use it within a week due to the risk of botulism if not handled properly. However, for whole intact bulbs, the countertop or pantry is definitely the way to go to maintain their flavor and quality. So, to recap this part, we've learned that bananas prefer room temperature for proper ripening, and to avoid skin discoloration, bread stays softer and tastier when stored at room temperature, and whole garlic bulbs thrive in a cool, dry, and well-ventilated environment rather than the fridge. We still have more surprising foods to uncover in our next and final part, along with some handy tips on what to do with them instead of refrigerating them. So keep watching, my friends, as we continue to unlock the secrets to a healthier and more flavorful golden life right here in your kitchen. Welcome back, everyone. We've already uncovered some fascinating insights about tomatoes, onions, potatoes, bananas, bread, and garlic. Now, let's delve into the final few everyday foods that you might be refrigerating unnecessarily and discover the better ways to store them to maximize their flavor, texture, and overall enjoyment. Our next surprising food is a fruit that's often associated with warmth and sunshine: the juicy and delicious melon, like watermelon, cantaloupe, and honeydew. There's nothing quite as refreshing as a slice of chilled watermelon on a warm day, is there? And you might be thinking, but I love my melon cold. And that's perfectly understandable. However, the key here is when to refrigerate your melon. Whole uncut melons actually retain their best flavor and texture when stored at room temperature. The cold temperatures in the refrigerator can slow down the ripening process and even diminish some of their sweet, juicy flavor. Studies have shown that storing whole melons at room temperature can even help them retain more of their antioxidants. Now, once you've cut into a melon, it absolutely needs to be refrigerated to prevent bacterial growth. Make sure to wrap it tightly in plastic wrap or store it in an airtight container. And yes, a chilled slice of watermelon is delightful. So, the trick is to store the melon whole at room temperature until it's ripe and you're ready to cut into it. Then, refrigerate the portions you're not going to eat immediately. This way, you get the best of both worlds. Maximum flavor from a room temperature ripened melon and the refreshing coolness of a chilled slice. Let's move on to another food item that often finds its way into the fridge, but might surprise you: honey. That golden sweet nectar that bees work so hard to create, honey, is a truly remarkable substance. It has a naturally long shelf life due to its unique composition. And here's a little secret: refrigerating honey can actually cause it to crystallize. Crystallization is a natural process where the sugars in honey start to form crystals, making it appear cloudy and thick, almost solid. While crystallized honey is still perfectly safe to eat, it can be inconvenient to use. Warming it gently can often return it to its liquid state, but avoiding crystallization in the first place is ideal. The best way to store honey is at room temperature in a tightly sealed container. A pantry or a cupboard away from direct sunlight and heat is perfect. As long as it's properly sealed, honey can last for an incredibly long time without refrigeration. So, save that precious fridge space and keep your honey sweet and smooth on your shelf. Our next food item might be a bit unexpected: hot sauce. For those of us who like a little kick in our meals, hot sauce is a beloved condiment. And you might have a collection of your favorite fiery concoctions residing in your refrigerator door. But most hot sauces don't actually need to be refrigerated. The primary ingredients in most hot sauces are chili peppers, vinegar, and salt, all of which act as natural preservatives. These ingredients help to inhibit the growth of bacteria and other microorganisms, making refrigeration generally unnecessary for maintaining safety. Refrigerating hot sauce might slightly extend its shelf life and could potentially help to preserve its color over a very long period, but it can also dull the flavor and thicken the sauce, making it harder to pour. Unless the label specifically instructs you to refrigerate after opening, which is rare for vinegar-based hot sauces, you can happily keep your hot sauce collection in a cupboard or on your pantry shelf at room temperature. This way, it will maintain its vibrant flavor and pour easily whenever you need that extra bit of heat. Finally, let's talk about a beloved spread that many of us enjoy on toast or in sandwiches: peanut butter and other nut butters. That creamy, nutty goodness of peanut butter is a staple in many households. And while some natural or organic nut butters, the kind without added stabilizers, might separate and benefit from refrigeration to maintain their consistency, most commercially produced peanut butters do not need to be refrigerated. The added oils and preservatives in many popular peanut butter brands help to prevent separation and spoilage at room temperature. Refrigerating these types of peanut butter can actually make them harder and less spreadable, which can be quite inconvenient, especially for those of us with less hand strength. The best place to store most commercially produced peanut butters is in a cool, dry place like your pantry. Just make sure the lid is tightly sealed to prevent it from drying out. For natural or organic nut butters that tend to separate, refrigeration can help to keep them emulsified. But you'll likely need to stir them upon taking them out of the fridge to restore a smooth consistency. So, check the label of your favorite peanut butter. You might be able to free up some valuable fridge space. And there you have it, my friends. 9 surprising foods that are often refrigerated, but are actually better off stored elsewhere to maintain their optimal flavor, texture, and overall quality. We've talked about juicy tomatoes, aromatic onions, versatile potatoes, sweet bananas, soft bread, flavorful garlic, delicious melons before cutting, sweet honey, fiery hot sauce, and creamy peanut butter. Remember, these aren't strict rules, but rather helpful guidelines to enhance your enjoyment of these everyday foods. By storing them correctly, you'll not only be preserving their wonderful qualities, but also potentially freeing up some much-needed space in your refrigerator. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Were you surprised by any of these? Are there any other foods you've been wondering about? Share your thoughts and questions in the comments below. I always enjoy reading them and connecting with you. If you found this video helpful and informative, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps others find our Golden Life community. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more tips and inspiration on living your healthiest and happiest golden years. We have so much more to share with you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Were you surprised by any of these? Are there any other foods you've been wondering about? Share your thoughts and questions in the comments below. I always enjoy reading them and connecting with you. If you found this video helpful and informative, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps others find our Golden Life community. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more tips and inspiration on living your healthiest and happiest golden years. We have so much more to share with you.